Welcome back, SaharaTV, to the Africa Update. A few weeks ago, there was a foiled coup attempt in Burundi. Since then, that country has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. Reaching us now to discuss Burundi and what's currently going on there is Ken Opalo. Ken Opalo is an assistant professor at Georgetown University at the Edmund Walsh School for Foreign Service. You're welcome to SaharaTV, sir.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for making time with us. First of all, let me quickly ask you, after the foiled coup attempt, what is Burundi looking like? How has it affected the running of, or the governance of the country?
Well, there was violence, sporadic violence through much of the country, especially in the capital. There have been grenade attacks, random grenade attacks. And a section of the coup plotters, one of the leaders based in Kenya recently vowed to fight the president to the end. But the President Nkurunziza himself seems bent on holding elections. In fact, Burundi already held parliamentary elections in which the ruling party won a federal majority of seats, and the president is likely to win the presidential elections too. Although the East African community is urging him to postpone the election until the end of this month.
What impact did the foiled coup also have on this election that you just mentioned? Did it affect it in any way at all?
Of course it did. I think that, you know, the violence both leading up to the coup and after the coup, and the president's digging in, means that the opposition had no chance of having a fair vote, or, you know, competing on a favorable footing against the president. So, I mean, in a perverse way, the coup actually handed the president the chance to go full out and repress the opposition.
So Godfrey Nyombari, who is credited or discredited for the coup, depending on how you look at it, was reported to be somewhere in Burundi. But for a while now, we've heard almost nothing about his whereabouts or anything that might have happened to him. Do you know anything about what's going on with him?
Not really. What I know is that one of the senior plotters recently gave an interview in Kenya with one of the local TV stations. And that's when he vowed that they will continue to fight Nkurunziza.
So we don't know where Nyombari is at the moment.
Yeah.
What is the media landscape looking like? We also heard news that the media was almost chased underground. What's the situation right now with the media?
Yes. I mean, the president is doing all his best to control the situation. Media has restricted access to the rural areas. And the rural areas also have restricted access to credible news sources. So the president is doing his best to control both the production and access to information to make sure that everything goes according to his plan. But at the same time, I think, you know, internet platforms like Facebook and others are providing some Burundians connection to, you know, credible news stories.
So social media is almost replacing regular media in Burundi right now?
I wouldn't say replacing, because, again, access to Facebook, for instance, is very limited to, you know, people with phones and such. But it's providing a possible alternative in a way.
Okay. We know you have to go, sir, but before you do, let's ask you maybe one more question. The African Union refused to accept the results of the parliamentary elections in Burundi. How is this going to affect the governance for Pierre Nkurunziza?
I mean, I think that the situation in Burundi raises two important questions about, you know, governance in Africa. One is the question of sovereignty. So, you know, Burundi, yes, the international community has a role in steering Burundi in the right direction, but there are limits to how they can do that. So the president forced through an election in which he seems to have won. I mean, he'll probably suppress turnout enough to win the upcoming election. So, you know, there's only so much that the international community can do short of staging a coup. And then secondly, we need to consider have some theoretical understanding of the process of democratic consolidation. So in my view, once the coup attempt had failed, the international community should advise the opposition to adopt a less hardline stance and maybe negotiate a process where the opposition could participate in an election, even though Nkurunziza would win the election. Because I don't think boycotting elections is a way to encourage democratic stability. Election boycotts only enhance the power of the incumbent president.
Let me ask you again, though. The Supreme Court, I mean, Nkurunziza has made his own case for why he thinks he deserves another term. That has been disputed by many different quarters. But doesn't he have a case, though? Has the Supreme Court, for instance, heard his case and made a ruling at all?
Yes, they did. They ruled in his favor, which again, so the Arusha Accord, on which time limits in Burundi were decided, was very ambiguous on when his first term started. So, on technical grounds, I think Nkurunziza had a case. But the spirit of term limits, but he clearly violated the spirit of term limits. He's been in power for 10 years and was due to step down. But the law on which he based his case, was ambiguous enough that he could argue that he had a case. But he violated the spirit of the law, which is that you should only be in power for 10 years.
We really appreciate the fact that you were able to squeeze some time off your busy schedule to speak with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Ken Opalo, is an assistant professor at Georgetown University at the Edmund Walsh School for Foreign Service. This is SaharaTV. Stay tuned. There's more coming.